What goes through your mind when you see it going so viral on social media?
I gotta get in the studio. I gotta write something. I got things I need to say.
Your track Made for Me is blowing up everywhere.
It's amazing to get acknowledgement.
When and how did Muni Long come about?
It's always been like this still small voice that's just like, maybe you could do it.
Let's just get right into it because your track Made for Me is blowing up everywhere. I love to see it. Every time I open my phone, every time I see anything, I feel like people are out here just like loving this track. So talk to me about it and what was the process for making the song?
Sometimes I get into these little pockets where I just start itching and I'm like, I gotta get in the studio. I gotta write something. I got things I need to say. And that usually happens when I've been like distracted and doing other things and my mind moves a mile a minute and I'm always having all these ideas and, creative expressions that I want to just get out. And so it was around Thanksgiving, the music business kind of shuts down, really entertainment period, shut right after Halloween, Thanksgiving to like the top of February, really. Mid-January is when people kind of start getting back to work. And so it was a dry period for me. I didn't have nothing going on. And I was like, I need to put a studio in my house. And I cleared out the bed out of one of my rooms. And we put a microphone studio set up in there. And I just went in there and was recording. I did maybe like 40 songs. And Made for Me was one of them. It was just piano vocal. And it was just like, purging all the things that I had going on in my mind and in my life. I put into music, and that's what you guys are hearing today is the Made for Me that I created in my room.
When you're in your room making a song like this, is there ever a point where you're like, oh, this one's going to be a banger? Or is it just kind of something you put out into the world and hope people respond to it?
Yeah, no, I never know. I'm just creating from my soul and like what I like, the sounds that I like and what feels good to me. So it's always an added blessing, bonus, puts a little extra smile on my face when something that I created just from pure innocence and just the joy of it all touches people in a massive way, like Made for Me has.
What goes through your mind when you see it going so viral on social media and all of these people using your song to create content?
It's just a blessing. It's just a rush. It's like electric. I mean, I'm actually at my friend from high school, one of my best friends from high school. I'm actually at his school. He's a music teacher. And I just around and like went to the different classrooms and they all know the songs and they were all like, oh my God. So that right there is like one of the reasons why I do this is just to see the impact of me being obedient and listening to, I call it the God whisper, God gives me lyrics and I sing them and then people are changed when they hear, what it is that I've created. So that's the reason why I do it. It's a blessing.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. I recently saw on TikTok that Charlie Puth shared a TikTok covering your song, and he actually wrote, and I'm going to quote it. He wrote, "This is one of the best songs written in the last 10 years, and he wished he wrote it." How does something like that make you feel?
But it's an incredible feeling. If you don't know, Charlie Puth is a professional, educated, trained classical musician. He's incredible. Got more talent in his thumb than some people have in their whole body. I'm not just saying that. Amazing pianist, amazing producer, incredible songwriter. And he's super sweet. And it's amazing to get acknowledgement or confirmation, should I say, from your super uber talented peers. And I've known Charlie for years. I wrote a song with him on one of his albums called River years ago. And man, it's a blessing. Like I said, man, anytime I see any of my peers enjoying my music like that, it's like, okay, I might know what I'm doing a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. We also saw Chloe Bailey do a cover of your song as well. So I think you might be knowing what you're doing just a little bit. A lot of people are just now discovering you as an artist, but your day ones will remember you from your Grammy Award-winning song, Hours and Hours. And even before that, they know you for the first part of the decade of your career where you were a songwriter and you went by the name Priscilla Renee. So when and how did Muni Long come about?
I think Muni Long has always been there. I think You know, a lot of times we spend the first part of our lives sort of performing and trying to fit into this role that other people have given us, our mother, our father, you know, our friends, the school system, your job. And I think there's a little small fire in everybody that is a little different than what society might normally deem as acceptable or status quo. And I think I decided to follow that fire because it just kept pushing me in the direction of, you know, well, what if? You know, why not? Why can't I do that? You know, who says that I can't? And I actually wrote a song for Selena Gomez called Who Says. So this mentality has always been there. It's always been like this still small voice that's just like, maybe you could do it. Why don't you just then it took a lot of courage and learning and sharpening my craft to be able to have the courage to step out in the way that I did. And I am developing because, you know, people say artist development is zero, it's missing. And that's very, very true. But that shouldn't stop you from, you know, taking those risks. And I'm doing late night television and huge major award show performances, knowing in the back of my mind that I'm still practicing. You know, I
Yeah.
don't have together yet, and that can be incredibly paralyzing and crippling for a lot of people. But for me, I'm just like, at the end of the day, even if I fall on my face and I mess up and I hit a wrong note, I can say I tried that, and there is proof. You know, like there is an actual video that exists of me performing at the BET Awards and having no idea where the cameras are, and I'm just like, you know, but it was all part of the journey, and then you're able to see my growth and my progression. Like, remember, this was her very first award show performance, and now, you know, 2 years later, look at her killing it.
And you are killing it. And I think that's actually really inspiring. So did you not want to be an artist initially? Were you always kind of focused on songwriting and then the artist just kind of came up in you and you had to, you know, answer that call? Or was it something you always had in you?
I always have been an artist. I never stopped being an artist. I did not know that there was the option to even separate the two. I always thought that artists wrote their own songs. It wasn't until I became a songwriter by trade to earn money so that I could eat and not have to, like, you know, go to college and get a job, a corporate job, that I realized, like, oh wait, everybody is not coming up with these stories. You know, these aren't, somebody else is there, almost like a translator. Um, and that's even like a journey because I have new music coming. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead, but
No, no, we want to hear
I
about that.
did, and that's gonna be coming later on in the year, like close to summertime. And there are a few songs on there that I did not write 100% by myself. A couple of them I was not even the genesis. Somebody else did it, and they pitched it to me, and then I just kind of tweaked a small amount of words to make it fit the way that I talk and how I see the world. But that's tough to take somebody else's words and their interpretation and mold it to your perspective. So just because an artist isn't writing the song in the sense of top line, which consists of melody and lyric, um, they're still interpreting the song and putting it on and making it their own. And that's part of being an artist. So no shade to anybody who doesn't write their own music or compose their own sound. Um, but I've always been an artist. The two come hand in hand with me. It's a package deal.
Yeah, you mentioned, you know, writing for an artist and then kind of making it their own. And you've written for Rihanna, you've written for Ariana Grande, you mentioned Selena Gomez. So what's the process of writing for someone like a Rihanna versus a Selena Gomez?
I think the process, even down to writing for myself, there's no difference as far as technique and like how I get into character, how or not even character, but like how I just like clear my vessel to be able to channel and amplify what it is that that artist wants to say and how they're feeling. The hardest part, especially when you have an artist that is like, you got to pull them out of their shell and get them to trust you in like 8 hours and like 2 hours, because then you got to write the song for the other 6. And then if you're really lucky, you can get them to put their voice on it that day. So that's like, that's the toughest part is how do you talk? What words would you say? What words wouldn't you say? What subjects do you stay away from? Is there anything politically that you got to kind of like get in their skin and understand who they are and how they want to, be represented to be able to give them something that really fits.
Nice. Yeah. And I love that you kind of found your own fit. I saw your performance on Jimmy Fallon the other day and you killed it, talking about like how before you didn't know where the cameras were and now it just like you really just own the stage and it's so great to see. But I actually went to the video and I was looking at the comments and one of the top comments was how everyone thinks that you are kind of spearheading and bringing back real R&B. What does that feel like for you to hear this kind of comment about your music?
I mean, it's definitely confirmation for me because if you follow any of my pages on my socials, I've been saying that. I've been proclaiming it like day 1,000 of saving R&B. And when you say it before people can put the action behind it or have something to sort of validate, like, why are you saying that, girl? Who you think it is, girl? Until they actually have the proof positive, you sound a little crazy. And so now that people are catching up to what I've been saying for the last 6-8 months, it's like, see, and I'm just getting started. We got a lot more where that came from. And in my opinion, too, it's not just me. There are so many of my peers, obviously Ari Lennox, SZA, Summer Walker, Kehlani, Janae Aiko, Tiana Taylor, Cleo Soul, Victoria Monet, Coco Jones. So many people that are out here doing it for R&B and doing it for the chocolate women in R&B with a specific sound that is soulful, but is still mainstream. And all ships rise with the tide. So when us does well, we all win.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned Victoria Monet. I actually just interviewed her recently, and we were talking about the transition from songwriter to artist, and very successful artist at that for the both of you. How was that transition for you? Did you find that you were getting a lot of pushback? Did you feel like people wanted to kind of keep you in a box, or was it an inviting process?
Yeah, shout out to Vicky. I love her so much. I absolutely adore her. Again, I've never not been an artist, so there was no transition. It was sort of just like maybe like a turning up the volume, I would say. Yeah, definitely. I mean, people always try to put you in a box, like whatever most benefits them is that's where they want to keep you. And so at a certain point, it was very lucrative and beneficial for me, for all the people that I had surrounded myself with, the team that I had cultivated, my managers, publishers, lawyers, artists, labels, all of that kind of stuff. They were generating a lot of income from my efforts as a writer because I can come up with songs so quickly. I was doing 5 sessions a day, minimum of 2 songs per session. It didn't used to take longer than 20, 30 minutes to write a song. Now I'm a little bit more like patient because I'm trying to get things to like this refined, polished level. And I pay attention to things a lot deeper than I used to in my early 20s and just like, I'm just saying whatever comes to my mind. And I think that people were so amazed with the amount of quality work that I could create. They wanted to keep me in that factory. Like, let's get as much of this out of her as we can because we don't know when it's going to end. But they didn't have the understanding that I have that it's not coming from me. It's an unlimited source. So I will always be doing this for the rest of my life. And there is no need to try to keep it in a box because there's going to be so much and everybody's going to be so blessed by I can't sing every song, and yeah, I mean, of course, people are always going to try to keep you under their thumb, but you can't hold back the flood.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love also that you're so, open and optimistic. Like I've, been in entertainment for a decade myself. So from a different perspective, obviously, but there's been so many times where I felt like, is this for me? Like, you get pushback in so many different ways. Like what keeps you going? Like, is there, you talked about you failed before and you just keep going. Like, what is it in you that you feel like, all right, no, like I don't care about failure. Like I'm here to do this.
Honestly, Tamara, I think I'm a little crazy. I, I know people be trying to tell me I can't do stuff, and it makes me kind of. I don't know if you ever seen that meme where the little girl turns around, she's
Yeah, yeah.
like, oh, what I what did you say? You said I can't. Watch me. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of get this like my little rebellious spark of just like, okay, you don't believe me? Even if it takes me 15 years, when I finally get it, I'm gonna look you in the face and be like, nah, 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 boo boo. You said I could do it, and I did. And it's, it could, people might say that's a little childish, but it gives me, that's my motivation, gives me fuel to like, you can't tell me what I can't do. I can do anything, you
Hmm.
know, which can be a little bit, and don't get me wrong, I have gotten frustrated and I have almost quit. I remember one night packing up my car and I was going to drive the 8 hours from Atlanta to Florida and just be like, I quit. And I think hours down the road and I was like, yeah, I'm tired. Like, I turned back around and I silently went back in the house, unpacked my bag. Nobody even knew I had left. Um, so of course, I mean, it's the human experience. You're gonna get frustrated, but when it's something that you really know that you want to do for the rest of your life and is your purpose, you're gonna stick it out. Even that's why you should only do things that you really love, because it's gonna be frustrations with everything. It's gonna be struggles with everything. And in this business, you either gonna do it with a smile or do it frustrated. So you might as well, no sweat off my back. Okay, it didn't work out. Whatever, moving on. You know.
I love that. There's like a saying that I love that's like, God doesn't say no, he just says not yet. So
Mhm.
I love that. So it always is very inspiring when you see someone that has gotten to the level that you've gotten at, and understanding that like there was a moment where you packed up your car and you went in the opposite direction. And then you're like, nah, hell no. Like, let me flip pull a Yui.
Yeah. True story. I really did that. And I think I was maybe like 20. I don't even think I was 21 yet. And I was like, this blows. I'm out of here. But I came back and it took me another, 14 years after that to actually see success in the way that I'm seeing it now. Not that I wasn't successful before, but, you just got to keep going because you never know when your moment is going to be.
Ain't that the truth? I'm going to let you go after this next question because I know you're so busy and I'm sure there's a ton of kids in there that are trying to get your attention. But you did mention new music coming out. So obviously, we're all dying to hear any update on the album. What can you tell us?
So it's going to be an amazing pop R&B record, just well crafted, using every last skill that I ever, cultivated over this last 15 or so years doing music and writing for these big stars. Giving myself a lot of that love. I worked with Tricky Stewart, he's executive producing. I've got songs with The Dream. I've got songs with Theron Thomas, who just won Songwriter of the Year at the Grammys this year, a good friend of mine. Some amazing producers that I work with, Tommy Brown, Mr. Franks. They do a lot of the Ariana Grande stuff. I got Tommy Parker and a new producer named Biako and a guy named Smoko Ono. It's just like some amazing, amazing lyrical content, melodies, feeling, real, intentional storytelling, amazing storyline. I'm very, very excited for people to just hear my thoughts and share the experience of like what I feel like as a young Black woman making R&B music.
Well, we can't wait either. We're so excited for it. Thank you so much, Muni. I really appreciate your time.
Thank
I'm going to be out here still saying, Twin, where have you been? So we're keeping
you. Yeah,
that.
love that. What up, twin? That's how
Yeah,
I go.
I love it. Thank you so much, Muni. See you soon.